Buckle up, everybody, because today we're diving deep into one of the biggest names in tech, Microsoft.
A company that's pretty much been there through it all.
From those early days of personal computers
To the rise of the internet.
and now venturing into the frontiers of cloud computing and AI.
It's an incredible story of innovation, ambition.
And let's face it, a bit of controversy along the way.
We'll uncover how this two-person startup transformed into a global tech titan.
And we'll examine their strategies, their successes.
And yeah, we'll even touch upon those moments where things didn't quite go according to plan.
Like that whole Windows Phone thing.
We'll also compare them to the other giants in the arena.
Google, Amazon, Apple, those heavy hitters.
So get ready for a wild ride as we trace the evolution of Microsoft.
From their humble beginnings to their current position as a dominant force in the tech world.
And along the way, we'll ask the big questions.
How did they manage to stay relevant for so long?
What were the key decisions that shaped their trajectory?
And what challenges lie ahead for this tech behemoth?
So let's rewind the clock all the way back to 1975.
Albuquerque, New Mexico. That's where it all began.
Two young guys, Bill Gates and Paul Allen, had this crazy idea.
Software for these newfangled things called personal computers.
Remember, this was back when PCs were still a pretty niche thing.
Not everyone had one sitting on their desk like we do today.
But Gates and Allen, they saw the potential.
They realized that software would be the key to unlocking the power of these machines.
And their first big break came with the Altair 8800.
One of the first commercially successful personal computers.
They developed a version of the basic programming language for it.
Talk about being in the right place at the right time.
It was a pivotal moment that launched them into the world of personal computing.
And just a few years later, in 1981, they unveiled Windows.
An operating system that would go on to dominate the PC market.
But it wasn't an instant success, was it?
No, not at all.
There was skepticism at first.
People weren't quite sure what to make of this new graphical interface.
But Microsoft persevered. They kept refining it.
And eventually, Windows became the go-to operating system for millions of people worldwide.
It's amazing to think how much they achieved in those early years.
By 1980, they were already pulling in nearly $30 million in revenue.
And they even opened their first international office in Japan.
A sign of their global ambitions right from the start.
But then came a pivotal moment that would truly cement their position in the industry.
In 1981, they struck a deal with IBM.
The giant of the computer world at the time.
To develop the operating system for their new personal computer.
And this is where things get really interesting.
Because Microsoft didn't actually have an operating system ready to go.
You're kidding?
Nope, they were pretty clever about it, though.
What did they do?
They bought an existing operating system called 86DOS from a small company in Seattle.
For a mere $75,000.
Rebranded it as MS-DOS.
And the rest, as they say, is history.
The IBM PC became a massive hit.
And MS-DOS rode that wave of success.
Becoming the world's leading operating system.
They licensed it to over 70 different computer companies.
Except for one notable holdout, Apple.
Ah, yes, the seeds of that legendary rivalry were sown right there.
Apple was forging its own path, focused on a different kind of user experience.
But for Microsoft, the 1980s were a period of relentless expansion.
They released Word, Excel.
Even an early version of their graphical user interface, Windows 1.0.
They were building a software empire brick by brick.
But then, in 1983, Paul Allen, Microsoft's co-founder, had to step down.
He was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma.
And there were even rumors of disagreements between him and Bill Gates about his stock options.
A reminder that even amidst phenomenal success, personal challenges can arise.
But Microsoft pressed on, and their next big move would revolutionize the way we work.
Microsoft Office initially launched as Microsoft Works.
This suite of productivity tools would become a global phenomenon.
And what's really interesting is that they made it compatible with other platforms.
Including Apple computers.
A strategic move that broadened their reach significantly.
They were playing the long game.
And in 1986, they decided to go public.
The IPO valued Microsoft at a staggering $350 million.
Making Bill Gates a multimillionaire overnight.
And turning many employees into instant millionaires.
The Microsoft story was becoming a Silicon Valley legend.
But the real game changer arrived in 1995.
Windows 95.
This wasn't just a new version, it was a revolution.
It ushered in the era of modern operating systems as we know them today.
And to make sure everyone knew about it, they launched a marketing campaign that was pure 90s extravagance.
$300 million worth of marketing blitz.
They gave away 1.5 million copies of the Times, lit up the Empire State Building in Windows colors.
Even licensed the Rolling Stones' Start Me Up for their commercials.
And who could forget Jay Leno hosting the launch event?
It was a spectacle.
But this unbridled success would also attract unwanted attention.
By the late 90s, the U.S. government was taking notice of Microsoft's growing power.
Concerns about their dominance of the operating system and web browser markets led to a landmark antitrust lawsuit.
It raised crucial questions about monopolies and competition in the tech world.
It was a defining moment for Microsoft.
They eventually reached a settlement that required them to open up their Windows operating system to third-party companies.
And in 2000, Bill Gates decided to step down as CEO.
Steve Ballmer took the helm.
Gates transitioned to the role of chief software architect. But a new era for Microsoft had begun.
An era that would bring both innovation and challenges.
The launch of the Xbox, Windows XP.
Programming languages like .NET and C#.
The acquisition of Skype.
And behind the scenes, they were laying the groundwork for what would become their cloud computing powerhouse, Microsoft Azure.
But this era also brought some missteps.
Remember that whole mobile phone thing we mentioned?
Yeah, that was Microsoft trying to figure out the smartphone market.
They launched Windows Mobile in 2003.
But they kind of underestimated the potential of mobile, especially compared to what Steve Jobs was doing with the iPhone.
It proved to be a costly miscalculation.
When they finally launched their own smartphone, the Windows Phone, in 2010,
It was too little too late.
the market was already dominated by iOS and Android.
But as we all know, Microsoft is a company that's not afraid to adapt and reinvent itself.
And that's where we'll pick things up in part 2 of our deep dive.
Stay tuned as we explore the Satya Nadella era and the rise of Microsoft Azure.
It's going to be a wild ride through the world of cloud computing, AI, and the future of tech.
So buckle up and get ready for part 2. Welcome back to our deep dive into Microsoft. Last time, we left off with Satya Nadella taking over as CEO in 2013.
The tech world was buzzing, wondering what direction he'd take this massive company in.
And Nadella had a vision, didn't he?
Oh yeah, he definitely did.
He wanted to transform Microsoft into a cloud-first company.
A pretty bold move, considering they were known for, well, Windows.
It was a recognition that the future of computing was shifting
Away from desktops and even smartphones.
towards the cloud.
And that's where Azure comes in.
For those who might not be familiar,
Azure is Microsoft's cloud computing platform,
think of it as a massive network of data centers,
providing all sorts of services.
from data storage and processing to artificial intelligence and more.
It's a game changer, really.
And Nadella understood that.
He steered Microsoft in that direction with a sense of urgency.
But building a cloud platform from scratch, that's no easy feat.
No, it's not.
So what did they do?
Well, they went on a bit of a shopping spree.
Strategic acquisitions, you might say?
They snapped up Mojang, the creators of Minecraft.
A brilliant move, tapping into the huge gaming market,
Then they acquired GitHub, the beloved platform for software developers.
bringing a whole community of talented folks into the fold,
And let's not forget LinkedIn, the professional networking giant.
giving them access to a wealth of data and connections
Each acquisition was a calculated move.
to bolster their presence in key areas,
Gaming, developer communities, professional networking,
all fitting into this grand vision of a cloud-centric future.
and Azure. It didn't just stumble along, did it?
Not at all. It took off,
Became a major player in the cloud computing market.
going head-to-head with Amazon Web Services, AWS.
The big dog in the cloud at the time.
What's interesting is that Microsoft already had a strong foothold in the server market.
With Windows Server and SQL Server.
So they leveraged that existing customer base.
Made it easier for companies already using Microsoft products to transition to Azure.
It was a smart move.
Almost like a natural progression.
But while Azure was becoming the star of the show,
Microsoft didn't abandon their other successful ventures.
they still had their more personal computing segment.
You concluded Windows, of course.
Still their flagship operating system.
The Surface line of devices.
Tablets and laptops.
Gaming with the Xbox.
And of course their search engine, Bing.
Bing, huh?
Yeah.
Still trying to make a dent in that Google-dominated world.
Well, it's a tough market, but Bing does generate revenue for them.
And I guess it shows their commitment to diversification.
Not putting all their eggs in one basket.
Spreading their bets across multiple areas.
And then there's their big push into artificial intelligence.
AI, the buzzword of the century.
They formed a strategic partnership with OpenAI. the company behind ChatGPT.
which has pretty much taken the world by storm.
That partnership is a big deal.
Microsoft invested heavily in OpenAI,
Recognizing the transformative potential of AI.
but it hasn't been all smooth sailing, has it?
No, there were some bumps along the way.
Remember that whole drama in 2023?
With the temporary dismissal of OpenAI's CEO,
And Microsoft played a role in his reinstatement.
AI partnerships, it seems, can be quite complex.
But despite those challenges, Microsoft's commitment to AI remains strong,
They see it as a foundational technology.
and they're not afraid to invest in it.
So, fast forward to today,
Microsoft is standing tall.
one of the most valuable companies in the world.
It's been an incredible journey.
From that two-person startup in Albuquerque to this global tech giant,
And their key revenue sources tell the story.
Office, Azure, Windows, servers, gaming, LinkedIn,
It's a diversified portfolio, as Satya Nadella calls it.
with linkages.
Linkages, huh? What does that even mean?
It means it's not just about having all these different products and services.
It's about finding ways to connect them,
Make them work together seamlessly.
creating synergies.
Exactly. Think about
They can integrate AI capabilities across their entire product line.
from Office to Azure
They can leverage LinkedIn's vast network and data.
to enhance their business software offerings.
The possibilities are endless when you start connecting the dots.
It's about creating a cohesive ecosystem
A world where Microsoft's products and services work in harmony.
to make our lives easier, more productive, maybe even a little more fun.
That's the goal, at least.
But as we've seen throughout Microsoft's history,
The path to success is rarely straightforward.
there will be challenges, unexpected hurdles.
Maybe even a few more stumbles along the way.
Yeah.
That's the nature of innovation, isn't it?
You push boundaries, you take risks,
Sometimes you fall flat on your face.
but what matters is how you get back up.
Learn from your mistakes and keep moving forward.
Resilience is key.
And let's face it, Microsoft has shown remarkable resilience over the years.
They've weathered storms, adapted to change, reinvented themselves time and again.
So as we head into the final part of our deep dive,
Let's put on our prognostication hats for a moment.
what do you think the next chapter holds for Microsoft?
What challenges will they face?
And how will they overcome them?
All right, we're back for the final part of our Microsoft deep dive.
And the big question on everyone's mind is, what's next?
We've seen them evolve from a small startup to a tech giant.
But the tech landscape is constantly shifting.
So how do they stay ahead of the curve?
They've got some fierce competition out there.
Google with their search dominance and Google Cloud,
Amazon with their e-commerce empire, and AWS.
and Apple with their loyal following and sleek devices.
It's a constant battle for supremacy in the tech world.
And Microsoft has to play their cards, right?
They've got their strengths, of course.
Azure's become a major player in the cloud.
Windows still has a big chunk of the desktop market.
And Office remains a productivity staple.
But the world is changing, isn't it?
New technologies are emerging.
Consumer habits are evolving.
And the lines between industries are blurring.
So how does Microsoft navigate this ever-changing landscape?
Well, I think Satya Nadella's vision of a diversified portfolio with linkages is key here.
Remember, it's not just about having a bunch of different products and services.
It's about making them work together seamlessly.
Creating synergies between them.
Exactly. Think about it.
Integrating AI capabilities across their entire product line.
From Office to Azure.
Leveraging LinkedIn's network and data to enhance their business offerings. The possibilities are pretty mind-boggling when you start connecting the dots.
It's about creating an ecosystem
Where Microsoft's products and services work together harmoniously.
to make our lives easier, more productive.
Maybe even a little more fun in the process.
But as we've learned from Microsoft's history,
The road to success is rarely smooth.
there will be challenges, bumps in the road,
They might even stumble a few more times along the way. That's part of the journey, though, isn't it?
pushing boundaries, taking risks.
Sometimes you fall flat on your face.
But what matters is getting back up, learning from those mistakes.
And moving forward with even more determination.
Microsoft has shown that they can adapt and reinvent themselves.
Time and time again.
So, as we wrap up our deep dive,
What do you think the future holds for Microsoft?
they'll keep pushing the boundaries of AI.
They'll likely expand their dominance in the cloud.
And who knows, maybe they'll surprise us with a bold acquisition or two.
Maybe they'll finally crack that mobile puzzle.
It's hard to say for sure.
But one thing's certain, they're not going anywhere.
They'll continue to be a major force in the tech world for years to come.
And that's what makes this story so fascinating.
From those humble beginnings in Albuquerque to their global reach today.
They've played a pivotal role in shaping the technological landscape we live in.
And their journey is far from over.
So keep an eye on Microsoft, folks.
Because they're bound to keep us on our toes.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure exploring the world of Microsoft with you.
And until next time, keep exploring, keep learning.
Keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.